Hey, Facebook family. We are live, and I am super excited because today, once again, we have our good friend, Master Brunson, and we're going to love, and we are going to get into what's. Can you hear?
Oh boy, Nikki, here it goes. Here it goes. I don't know. Nikki, this is a CON conspiracy. That's exactly what this is. I heard a little bit. I heard a little bit of what you said.
How are you? Let's start there. How are you?
You know what? I'm good. I'm feeling really good today. I'm feeling pumped. I've got some news for you.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I haven't shared this news yet, and it's not 100%, so I don't want to jinx it, but I will just say this is that last time we talked, or not the last time, but the time before the last that we talked, we were talking about the show that I was executive producing and hosting for ABC. Well, we're in negotiation for our next episode, so our next special to hit. And it's probably going to hit in the next 2 months. So I just want to thank you because of you and so many other folks who supported. We had a really good showing, and they're giving us another hour on primetime TV. So thank you.
For those of the people who might have missed it, there are actually 4 episodes that have been completed. Correct?
Yeah. Well, there's 3. There's 3.
Okay.
But our goal was always our goal was to get 1 to air.
Right.
Now our goal is to get 2 to
air. Done. Right. Okay.
And then our goal is to keep pushing it because we really feel like it's refreshing, good TV. So
what is the ultimate vision then? Is the ultimate vision like an entire, like maybe 8 to 10 episodes?
Yeah, 8 to 10 episodes would be nice. The original vision, though, was to be able to do specials. And the reason why we wanted to do specials is because, I'm real Jamaican. So there's like 5 million things that I'm doing always at the same time.
Are you really Jamaican?
And I'm Jamaican. Yeah, I'm really Jamaican.
We Jamaicans don't play.
Oh, what, Nikki, you're Jamaican?
So I want to make sure.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
A matter of fact, I tell you what, this is also some big news that just happened last week. Is that there's a school that I'm working on building a school in Jamaica right now. It's right outside of Kingston.
Me too.
Where?
Mine is closer to Runaway Bay, right outside of Ocho Rios.
You know what? We need to talk more.
We do.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, that is all. Well, that's a whole nother.
Okay, we'll talk. So tell me, because we got into it a little bit in our last, but tell me how the reaction was, because I mean, my timeline was shut down. It was all Paul. It was all Help I Need Love. And we had so much conversation and debate about the couple that was on that night and whether she picked right, whether she picked wrong. Were you surprised at the reaction to the show?
I will say I was surprised, and it was a surprise from the standpoint of I was overwhelmed with how welcoming and happy and proud people were. What I love so much is that I had people tell me they were able to watch the show with their kids and their grandparents and not have to turn away, that was what I was most proud about. And I will also say this, is that the crew loved the show. So sometimes, a crew will not like what the
right.
crew liked the show. And then immediately afterwards, I get a text from Courtney and from Cole telling me that they liked the show. So the fact that the subjects liked the show, the network liked the show, the crew liked the show, the audience liked the show, it was a good win. It really was.
And that's why we're looking at a second showing.
Oh yeah.
Of that, because a lot of times you'll hear, especially when a show or documentaries. A lot of times the participants are through editing, analyze some things in order to get the rating.
Yep. Yeah.
And you're producing.
Yeah, you know, and what you said is right on. It's interesting because reality TV has completely now flipped to fake TV.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And when you say docuseries now, people automatically think, oh, that's that fake reality stuff.
Right.
It's not what real document or docuseries, that's not what it is. And so this was a very, I mean, you saw it. This is an authentic, raw, you know, not heavily edited type show. And so what I'm hoping is that what we're a part of is this movement to bring back true reality, true docuseries TV.
Well, awesome. So tell me a little bit about now with the couple, Cole and I forgot her name. I'm sorry.
Courtney,
Cole and Courtney. How are they now?
Yeah, they're good.
Updates.
They still see each other.
Yes.
So when they message, actually, I got a message from Cole afterwards as well, but I got a message from him right before, and Courtney and Cole had just had dinner. Matter of fact, he had dinner with Courtney and Olivia, her daughter. And so they still see each other. You know, they're not married, there's no engagement, but they're still seeing each other. And the show, by the way, the show, we stopped filming at the end of 2016 or towards the end of 2016. So they're still within about, you know, a year and a half of seeing each other. So it's, you know, there could be something there.
Well, I mean, it is a process, especially when there are children already involved. You absolutely don't want to just jump into something. So them taking their time. And the one thing that I did want to point out to you that I thought was interesting, because I watched it with my two sons, and I thought it was interesting how it really, you know, we were able to talk about, you know, previous experiences and just how it was for them, that, you know, and some things that we might not have talked about before. So I think for single moms out there, or women who have been single moms, I think it was a really important show that, you know, that opened up dialogue with children about some maybe not so comfortable things. You know, it's like you're a woman and you're dating, and, you know, I got teenage sons now, so they know a lot more than, you know, about what goes on in the whole dating.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great.
You know, I'm so glad that you had the opportunity to talk to or watch it with your boys. And what I love is that so there was an outpouring of support, mainly from single moms who watched it, and they watched it with their kids. And another part I think that was interesting is people didn't know, because there was no media, you know, no visuals around the show, so they didn't know who we call the subject. They didn't know who Courtney would be. You know, would she be white? Would she be black? Would she be like, you know? And I will say this is not to give too much away, but I want to lead into our second special, is that our subject is a black woman in the next episode. And I think what's interesting about that is you're going to see a totally different dynamic.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you know, a whole different, but it's the same thing. Like you're going to still see, I think, a powerful story. A matter of fact, a lot of people said they cried 5 minutes into watching the show with Courtney. It'll probably be 2 minutes into watching this upcoming one. It's a heavy show.
So what can we do to support you now in the meantime? Is there anything that we as viewers and fans and concerned citizens who want great television, is there anything?
Yeah, this is such a great question. I'm so happy. Yes, there is. At the end of the day, when it comes to movies, we vote with our feet going to the box office. When it comes to TV, we vote with our eyeballs. But I tell you what, I feel like the execs, you know, in California, they really look for three things. One, they look for how many people watch the show. Right? That's already done, and we did a good job with that. The second thing that they look for is they look for what community is being formed around the show. You know, this was a big boost to Scandal. What ABC loved was that there were a whole bunch of people calling themselves gladiators, right?
Right.
It was a whole family community. Right. So community forming. So how do we form a community? Well, we have the ambassadors. join the ambassadors, Kaywanda at kaywandalamb.com, right? Join the ambassadors. That number keeps growing for us. So that's the community. The third thing is that, believe it or not, snail mail still works in 2017.
We got to buy a stamp.
Well, you could just drop it. You could hand deliver it to them. How about that? You need a stamp. But there have been several people who have been sending mail to the New York ABC office, also to the California office, just to say, we love this, we want more of this, we were pleasantly surprised, that kind of thing. So snail mail, forming the community, right? And then obviously the viewership, all of that helps tremendously.
We're giving her Twitter in order to join the ambassadors.
To join the ambassadors, it's Kaywanda, her email address, I'm sorry. Her email,
okay.
Kaywanda, KAYWANDA at KaywandaLamb, LAMB.com.
Okay. Well, very good. So what other things are going on? Are you working on other TV shows? What else are you doing?
Yeah, you know what? I was joking with my wife because someone told, Ryan Seacrest, going back to American Idol probably, and someone said, man, Ryan Seacrest is the hardest working guy, the person in show business. He has like 2 TV shows on air. And you know what's interesting is right now I'm negotiating a deal to do a cable show. So, and it's close to closing. If we do that cable show, I'll have 3 shows on air. I'll have a cable show, I'll have the ABC show, and then I still host Our World for Black Enterprise, which is syndicated. That comes on, different networks. So I'll have 3 shows on air in the next month, if we close this. So there's that deal that I'm working on. The school, in Jamaica, that's a big thing.
That's a big thing.
Announced. But I'm giving you, Nikki, everything I've got. So I'll tell you that. Let's see, what else we got? Then I started a program called Knowledge Share, where every week, because I love to teach.
Yes.
Every week I'm teaching a different skill. Like right now in front of me, I got all these books on time management, because I've been reading about time management. So every week I pick a skill, I read 3 books on that skill, and then I break it down for everybody in the lecture. So I'm doing all of that, plus trying to raise 2 boys and stay married.
Yeah. Which is a top priority, right? Let's put top priority.
Yes.
Awesome. So we have some questions coming through, and one was about some dating tips. So for single moms or single parents that are getting ready to date their children for this new dynamic in their lives.
Okay. Well, Nick, can you give me the top part of that question? I heard single moms dating.
What are your top 3 tips for single parents getting their children ready?
Okay, getting the children ready.
Yes.
Okay, all right, great question. So the first thing is to not allow let me take a step back. It depends how old your child is. That's a made, is it a 6-year-old child, 16-year-old child? Big difference there. But generally, the first thing is you want to protect your child. So you don't want to expose your child to all of these men, or if you're a single dad and women that you're dating. So that's the first thing that you want to do in terms of helping them, is you want to protect them. That's the first thing. The second thing that you want to do is, once you are in, and this is just my opinion, this is what I taught Courtney, and this is what I teach on this show, is that once you are in what you believe is a committed relationship, then at that point, it's fair game to introduce whoever you're dating to your child. Now, when you introduce whoever it is to your child, the best thing to do is not do it in your house. The best thing to do is move to some neutral ground.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why you want to do that is because you want not only your child to feel, so you want your child to feel comfortable, right?
Right.
But neutral ground, by the way, is somewhere that your child would like to go to, something that they would like to see.
So they're excited anyway.
Exactly. So they're excited. A positive reaction. So that's the reason why when we introduced who Courtney was dating, Cole, to Olivia, we introduced them at a place where she was excited, right? It was at the beach. That's where she had always wanted to go. So that's the number two thing, is that neutral ground, but it should be a place that they're excited. The third thing is not to put too much weight on the initial reaction. I know a lot of people sit there like, okay, what's going to happen? You know, what's the eye contact? What's the bite? Is not to put a lot of initial weight on it, because just like it took you a while to see, does this person match my values? Is this someone that I can communicate with? It's going to take your child a while to do that, and the person you're dating a while to do that. So third is don't put too much weight on it. Two would be introducing them neutral ground, but in a place that the child is excited. And then third is, don't introduce anyone to your child unless you feel like you are in a committed relationship and there's really something special with that person.
All right. Somebody asked this question. I think this is a really good question. They want you to define committed. Like, what is what do you know that you crossed the line from just casual dating into a committed relationship? Is it an actual conversation?
Yeah. This is interesting, Nikki, because this is a great question for 2017. But think about if we were talking about this in like 1967, right?
Right.
Should you have had a conversation, or absolutely you should have had
right.
There's no assumptions. But here's the thing, is I totally get it, because most of us now, and this is what I think is, and I'll just be straight up, I think this is unfortunate about what's happening to the world, is we're becoming so casual,
right,
that there's this idea of, well, we don't even have to talk about confirming who we are to each other. We just go hang out. We just see each other, but we don't have to confirm what it is. What I'm saying is that a committed relationship is a confirmed monogamous, and I want to underscore monogamous relationship. Right. This is a person who pretty much has four things. Not pretty much, I'm sorry. They have four things. They have proven that they match your values, and values play out in action. That's one. Two is that it's proven that you both can communicate with each other. There's ebb and flow. There's a complementary in personality. And
the communication is verbal, correct? It's not like this whole, because what I found is people can have entire text relationships.
Yes, it is verbal, because you'll have to get off a text at some point, right? There's verbal. The third is that there is the meeting of what I call non-starters. So a non-starter is anything that directly impacts your health or happiness. So, let's say that you have asthma, but the person you're dating smokes. Well, that's a non-starter, right? It's not going to work. So you want to meet each other's non-starters. And then last but not least, and here's where it gets tricky for a lot of people, is I believe there must be mutual physical attraction, right? Mutual physical attraction. So if you have mutual physical attraction, many of the non-starters, you can communicate, their values shared, that's someone who you could be in a committed relationship with. So you have the conversation, you both commit to each other, then at that point you have commitment.
Relationship. Okay. So, but the point of you bringing up 2017 is things have shifted so much with the introduction of social media and how we actually are now meeting people, whether it be online or an app, you're swiping, you're doing whatever. And then with the whole, like I said, I mean, I really do know people who have like text relationships. Like they don't talk on the phone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what, this was startling to me. The average person who uses an online dating site will text or chat with the person that they've met anywhere on average from 3 to 6 months before even having a phone conversation.
We're meeting in person, really?
Yeah, without having a phone call, and that's not even physically. They haven't even met the person. We're moving to a really interesting place where.
But doesn't that set you up for a lot of disappointment? Because I know a lot of people who, I mean, you can be somebody totally different.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the psychology around all of that interaction is really interesting. Part of it is the person themselves saying, you know what, I don't feel ready to meet this person. So, you know, I want to lose 5 pounds. You know, I want to, you know, do whatever it may be. And then therefore, it's easy to prolong the conversation. But there's so many things that have changed. You know, it's fascinating when I see, so I sold my matchmaking agency last year.
Right.
I still sit on the board. And what's interesting is I see that the challenges that people come to the agency with today are completely different than the challenges they came 8 years ago with. You know, like 8 years ago, it was, you know, I just want to meet somebody. Now it's, well, you know, I meet everyone, but everyone is interested in polyamorous relationships, and I want a monogamous relationship. It's like, the world is a fascinating place, and relationships have changed drastically.
Wow. We had another question about tips for women over 50. Does it change? Do you have to have different tips?
You know what this is? So I think that I will say this. When I see clients, or when in the past when I've seen clients come over 50, it is a different conversation. It's totally different. At 40, it's a different conversation. At 30, it's a different conversation. You know, in between about, you know, in the 20s all the way up to about 50, the conversation is, you know, I want specifically A, B, and C.
Right.
The person gets older, really as they approach like 40, 41, 42, their list begins to grow, you know.
Really?
They need to live in the city. They need to be able, like the list just grows and grows and grows. So it looks like this. The list is just growing. Once the person hits 50, the list starts flattening out and then going down. And then when I have like the 67-year-old client, they're just like, the 67-year-old. Exactly. I just want him to be able to walk up a flight of stairs, not 2 flights. If he can walk up 1 flight of stairs, that's all that I need, right? So that's how the list changes.
What do you attribute that to? Because I mean, I don't think that, to me, it doesn't sound that they get less discriminating. Maybe it's that they get more accepting of people and their imperfections. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Nikki. I mean, absolutely. Is that ultimately what we end up realizing is that we were not placed here on earth to live it alone. Now, that doesn't mean that we were all meant to be married, but we're not meant to live it alone. Humans are social. And so at a certain point, people realize, I just need to have companionship.
Right.
And that's ultimately what it boils down to.
Wow, that is fascinating. Where do you think is the best place for people to meet?
You know, I firmly believe this. The best place for someone to meet, volunteering to help build your school outside of Ocho Rios, right, is in places where you can, where your shared interest, where your shared value is being exhibited. So volunteer events, conferences, classes, art class, that kind of thing. Anywhere where your values and interests are being expressed or exhibited, that is the best place, because those places act as qualifiers for you.
So that's why my mom said meet men in church, huh? That's
Man, we can talk about church for a while. We can talk about church for a minute. Church has changed. Church has changed.
Church has changed. And I told Mom, I was like, now everybody is going to meet. So now it's like going to the bar when you go to church. It's like people are hanging out just to meet people. They're not going to talk to the Lord. So
you see these dresses, Nikki? You see these dresses? Man. I mean,
too funny. So what do you say? Because I have this conversation a lot with my girlfriends, and somebody kind of alluded to it. Women are doing so many different things now, and they're in very powerful positions. And like you said, 1967 was like a whole different kind of energy when it came to men and women. How do you tell these kinds of women to meet men? Because a lot of women say men are intimidated by me, men don't want to approach me, men don't respect my independence. How do you coach them on dating and finding a man?
I'll say that And by the way, that's the number one matchmaking client is going to be a hard charging, very successful professional woman. But here's my thought. The vast majority of people who are dating are out here looking for quick casual sex, or but that's really what it is. They're not looking for anything serious. They're not looking for a committed relationship. That's men as well as women. The vast majority of the dating market, if you will, that's it. So if you're just out here dating in general, then you're going to find yourself coming across a lot of those people. And of course, they're going to say you're intimidating when really what they mean is they're not physically attracted to you. Or of course, they're going to, say of course, they're going to be into something short term if they're just out here casually dating. So the most important thing I say is that it's important to do as much qualification of the person before you do that 3 hour, 5 hour date on a Saturday. That it ends up being a big waste of time. You want to pre-qualify, and there's so many things that you can do to pre-qualify. It's simply when you meet a person online, for example, just scheduling a call. Do they show up on time? Like if they're 15 minutes late for the call, if they're texting you before, like, oh, can we move it to this time? Like these little things that, or I shouldn't even say little things. These flags that people like to overlook, those are flags for a reason. Listen to that. The other thing is, not doing these extravagant dates right out the gate. Like go meet for coffee at a Starbucks for 30 minutes. Keep it short. Keep it quick, because ultimately you want to just see, hey, do we communicate? Am I physically attracted? That's really all you want to be able to determine. You could do that. Ladies, I know could do that in 3 seconds if you're attracted to them. So long story short is that's what I say is you want to pre-qualify as much as you can, but then also we all just have to accept that dating has changed, and you know what the largest reason why dating has changed? You just said it. It's because women have options now. In this before, what changed all this too? Is birth control changed all this. Birth control.
Why? Because it made us more, because what? Okay, you say it. Why did it? Because I don't think I'm gonna say it right. Why did it change?
Birth control gave women options in relationships, because prior to birth control, what that meant is when you were dating someone, you had sex, you got pregnant, you were required, whether you liked the person or not, you were required to be with them. And what was worse was that the man, it was understood that, oh, well, he could have, a woman on the side or 2 women on the side. That's okay. That was pre-birth control. But then when birth control came into the picture, then what ended up happening is, well, women had options. They didn't have to just stay with the guy that they laid down with. They could move on to the next if they wanted to, like these guys have been doing. And so those options really gave birth to a whole new dynamic of men and women in dating.
So do you have a rule? There was all that talk when Steve Harvey came out, and there was like the 6-month rule, like you had to wait a certain amount of time or you would be perceived differently. Do you coach your clients, or you talk to people about anything like that?
So, I like Steve, but I will say that in terms of rules, in terms of rules, it's never healthy to just throw a blanket of rules on. And the reason why is because we're all individuals. We all have different values. There's different culture, right? There's some people who it's within their value set to have sex on the first night. Like that's what their thing is. Their thing is let's get together. Let's, part of figuring out if we should be in a relationship is we need to have sex. But let's go ahead and do it. And that's in their values. And there have been countless people who have had sex on the first date and went on and got married and had happy, healthy marriages. Right. Then there are other people who have a different set of values, maybe a little bit more traditional, where they're not prepared to have sex right out the gate, right? They want to wait a little bit. And so the bottom line is that you can't apply one rule to all of these folks. It's impossible. And so the best thing to do is to use your values as your rule. Like your values are your rule book to life. You just stay within your values. And that's the reason why it's so important to meet people who share your values, because then you will share the same rules. It's when you meet people who don't have your values, that's when you'll find out that you live by two different rules.
And I guess, and I guess that really does answer the question, because if you meet somebody and you figure out you have the same values, if it's in your value set to have sex on the first night and it's in their value set, then you won't be judged for it.
Absolutely.
People are commenting that they believe in test driving, so I see where my audience falls.
Well, I will say this is about 8 years ago, I was like, look, I believe in the test drive theory, but once again, it goes back to your rules. But you know what, Nikki, did you know this? Do you know that right now, 1/3 of all first dates there's some sexual contact? 1/3 of all first dates. Now, here's what blew me away. The thought, when I heard that stat, I was like, okay, that's a bunch of 20-year-olds, like disproportionately. And the 40-year-olds and the 50-year-olds, well, they're waiting. Nikki.
I can tell you that one.
These 40-year-olds are getting it in. These 50-year-olds are getting it in. The 60-year-olds are getting it in. It's disproportionate that the older you get, the higher likelihood you will have sex or sexual contact on the first date. So it's
like with the Bill Clinton. What is sexual contact? That's funny.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because I think that we are so much freer. It's like I met this, and hopefully he's not going to hear this, but I met this guy on LinkedIn, and I automatically assume anybody you meet on LinkedIn is because they want to do business with you, right? And so we exchanged numbers. I was like, just call me. Well, right off the bat. And I was like, really? Is this what we do?
He was like, yeah, this is LinkedIn.
He was like, send me a picture. I'm like, what? My desk? What are we talking about here? So, I mean, I think it's just really interesting how conversations have changed and gotten so much, I think it's fast. But more open, I guess. But I guess that's my value set that, I have to match up with somebody else's.
Right. And the importance here is that you don't change yours. And that's the problem that a lot of us get into is that we start dating, we realize, oh, a lot of people are doing it a different way, so let me change my values. When you do that, that means that you are lowering your standards. Lower your standards, you'll have a lower quality of life every time.
Well, I think I'm just so excited we haven't had any technical. I just want to keep you forever, but I know you have stuff to do. You got places to go. You got deals to close. But I really do appreciate you taking this time to update us. I put up Kaywanda's information, so anybody and everybody, please email her and find out what we can do to support. And I look forward to finding out the date for show 2, for episode 2.
I tell you what, I appreciate you. I appreciate your support, everybody who follows you and their support. Thank you for having me. Anytime you want me back, I'm back.
Don't say that, Paul.
Oh, no, I'm telling you, if I have to, I'm telling you, and I was telling you, Nikki, I'll tell everybody that I moved to sit next to my server, to my router. Right. So that way there'd be no issues with the connection. So, but really, Nikki, I adore you and what you do. I'd love to talk to you offline about the Jamaica stuff.
Absolutely.
But I'm a support.
I just got back on Monday. I was just there.
See? This is Thank you.
Thank you. And I adore you too and what you're doing, and I appreciate you helping as we navigate this love thing. So definitely appreciate you. We will definitely have you back, and we will support you in the meantime.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
All right, thanks, Facebook family. We will see you soon.